The crash, the emergency klaxons screamed through the shuttle as Dr. Sarah Chen fought with the controls, her knuckles white against the navigation panel. "No, no, no," she whispered, watching the red planet's surface rush toward her. Cylon 7 had seemed so peaceful from orbit, but now it loomed like a crimson nightmare. The impact threw her against the restraints, metal shrieking as the shuttle tore through alien vegetation. When the world finally stopped spinning, Sarah tasted blood and smelled burning circuits. She dragged herself from the wreckage, medical kit clutched in trembling hands. The forest around her was unlike anything in Earth's databases. Trees with bark that shimmered like oil slicks, flowers that pulsed with bioluminescent light. The air itself seemed thick, almost syrupy, carrying scents both sweet and acrid. A roar shattered the eerie quiet. Sarah spun to see three massive creatures emerging from the undergrowth. Their scales gleamed obsidian black, and their eyes burned with predatory intelligence. She stumbled backward, reaching for the emergency flare in her kit. An arrow whistled past her ear, striking the lead creature in its throat. The beast howled and retreated. Two more arrows followed in rapid succession. Forcing the remaining predators to flee into the shadows, Sarah turned to face her savior. He stood at the forest's edge, bow still raised. His skin was a rich purple hue that caught the alien sunlight, making it appear almost luminescent. Intricate silver markings traced along his arms and face, ceremonial tattoos that seemed to shift as he moved. His hair, darker purple and bound in complex braids, fell past his shoulders. His eyes were the color of amber, watching her with a mixture of caution and curiosity. "Thank you," Sarah managed. Her voice hoarse, he lowered his bow slowly, speaking in a melodic language she couldn't understand. His translator, if he had one, wasn't working. Or perhaps her own had been damaged in the crash. Sarah pointed to herself. "Sarah," she said clearly, then pointed to him questioningly. He seemed to understand, placing a hand on his chest. "Kai," he replied, his voice deep and resonant. She gestured to her bleeding forehead. Then to her medical kit, Kai approached cautiously, examining her injuries with gentle efficiency. His touch was surprisingly tender as he helped her to her feet. He motioned for her to follow. Leading her away from the crash site, Sarah hesitated. Looking back at the smoking ruins of her shuttle, her only connection to home, Kai turned back, his amber eyes meeting hers in them. She saw something unexpected. Compassion. He extended his hand, Sarah took it. They walked in silence through the alien forest. The purple-skinned warrior and the stranded scientist, neither knowing that this moment would change everything. Cultural boundaries, Kai's sanctuary was a marvel of natural architecture. Hidden within a massive hollow tree, the interior had been carefully carved and shaped into a living space. Bioluminescent moss provided soft lighting, and woven tapestries decorated the walls with images Sarah couldn't decipher. He gestured for her to sit on a low bench while he gathered supplies. Sarah watched him move with fluid grace, every action deliberate and practiced. When he returned with water and what looked like medicinal herbs, she accepted gratefully. "Your world," she said slowly, pulling out her damaged hollow projector. After several attempts, a flickering image of Earth appeared between them. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Kai's eyes widened. He reached toward the image instinctively, then pulled back, studying it with intense fascination. He spoke in his language, the words flowing like music, though Sarah couldn't understand over the following days. They developed a system of communication through gestures, drawings, and patience. Sarah learned that the creatures who attacked her were called shadow maws, and that Kai's people, the Valori, were a warrior culture with deep spiritual traditions. One morning, Sarah noticed Kai favoring his left shoulder. A dark stain had spread across his tunic. "You're hurt," she said, moving toward him with her medical kit. Kai stepped back sharply, his expression suddenly guarded. "Let me help," Sarah insisted. Reaching for his shoulder, his hand shot out, catching her wrist before she could touch him. The grip was firm but not painful. His amber eyes bore into hers with unexpected intensity. "No," he said, one of the few words he'd learned in her language. Sarah pulled back, confused and slightly hurt. "I'm a doctor, I can help you." Kai released her wrist and placed his hand over his shoulder. Then over his heart he shook his head emphatically, speaking rapidly in Valori. His tone wasn't angry, but there was something almost vulnerable in it. Understanding dawned on Sarah. This wasn't about trust. It was about custom, sacred, she asked. Pointing to his shoulder, then his chest, Kai nodded slowly, seeming relieved she understood. He made a gesture that combined two hands coming together, then pointed to his heart area. Only your partner, Sarah guessed. Only someone you're bonded with. Another nod. I'm sorry, Sarah said sincerely, sitting back down. I didn't know. I wouldn't have. Kai moved closer, kneeling so they were at eye level. He pointed to her, then to himself, then made a gesture of respect. Placing his fist over his heart and bowing his head slightly, Sarah felt warmth spread through her chest, despite the language barrier. His meaning was clear. Her attempt to help had been forgiven. Her respect for his boundaries mattered that evening. They sat by the fire he'd built inside a natural chimney in the tree. Kai tended his own wound with careful precision. Occasionally wincing, Sarah watched, ready to offer supplies but respecting his space. When he finished, he looked at her across the flames. Something in his gaze had shifted. The wariness had softened into something else, something that made Sarah's heart beat faster. He began to speak, his voice low and rhythmic. Though she couldn't understand the words, she felt their meaning, stories of his people, perhaps, or his own history. Sarah responded in kind, telling him about Earth, about her work studying alien plant life, about the stars she'd traveled through to reach this world. Kai listened with rapt attention, and when she finished, he reached across the space between them. His hand hovered near hers for a moment before gently touching her fingertips. It was the smallest gesture, yet it felt monumental. In that moment, Sarah realized that understanding transcended language, and that some connections formed despite every barrier placed between them. Growing connection. 3 weeks had passed since the crash, and Sarah's life had transformed into something she never could have imagined. Each morning she woke to the soft purple glow of dawn filtering through the tree sanctuary. And each morning Kai was already awake, preparing for the day ahead. Their communication had evolved beyond simple gestures. Sarah had learned dozens of Valori words, while Kai had picked up her language with surprising speed. Their conversations, though still halting, grew deeper each day. Show me your world again, Kai asked one evening, his accent giving the words a musical quality. Sarah activated the holo projector, cycling through images she'd shown him before, oceans, mountains, cities of glass and steel. But this time, she included something new. Photos of her family, her parents smiling at a beach, her younger brother graduating. Kai studied them intently. They search for you, he asked. I hope so, Sarah admitted, feeling the familiar ache of homesickness. But the distress beacon was damaged. I don't know if anyone heard it. Kai was quiet for a moment, then stood and retrieved something from a carved chest. He returned with a small crystal that seemed to pulse with inner light. My family, he said softly. He pressed the crystal, and holographic images appeared, formed from light and energy rather than technology. A woman with deeper purple skin and kind eyes. An older man with silver markings more elaborate than Kai's. Younger siblings laughing together. Beautiful, Sarah whispered. Gone, Kai said, his voice heavy. Shadow Maw attack, 2 seasons past.
I am last of my house, Sarah's heart clenched.
Without thinking, she reached out and placed her hand over his. Kai looked down at their joined hands, then up at her face. His amber eyes were bright with unshed tears. I'm sorry, Sarah said. Kai turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through hers. You understand loss? Yes, they sat in comfortable silence, hands intertwined. The boundaries between them seemed less rigid now, built on trust rather than caution. The next day, they ventured farther from the sanctuary than before. Kai wanted to show Sarah a place he called the Crystal Falls, a waterfall that supposedly turned rainbow colors in the afternoon light. They were halfway there when the attack came. A pack of shadow maws larger than the ones from before surrounded them with frightening coordination. Sarah's breath caught as the lead creature stalked forward, its massive jaws dripping with saliva. Kai pushed Sarah behind him, drawing his blade. But there were too many, 6 at least, circling with predatory patience. Run when I create opening, Kai commanded. No, Sarah replied firmly, grabbing a fallen branch. It wasn't much, but she wouldn't abandon him. The first shadow maw lunged. What happened next was pure instinct and adrenaline. Kai's blade flashed. Sarah swung her makeshift weapon at anything that came close. They moved together without planning, each covering the other's blind spots. When one creature tried to flank Kai, Sarah was there when another leaped at Sarah. Kai's arrow found its mark, The battle lasted only minutes but felt like hours. When the last Shadow Maw retreated, both Sarah and Kai stood panting, covered in minor cuts in the creature's dark blood. Kai turned to her, his eyes wide with something between shock and admiration. "You fought like Valori warrior." "I fought like someone protecting what matters," Sarah replied. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Kai stepped closer, so close Sarah could feel the heat radiating from his purple skin. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away when she didn't. He gently cupped her cheek. "Sarah," he said softly, her name sounding like a prayer in his accent. "Kai." She whispered back. "My people believe," he began, searching for the words, "that souls travel through stars before birth. When we find the one meant for us, our soul remembers the journey together." Sarah's heart was racing. "That's beautiful. When I am near you," Kai continued, his thumb brushing her cheekbone, "my soul remembers something it should not yet know." "What if it's not that you shouldn't know it?" Sarah said, leaning into his touch. "What if it's that you were always meant to know it?" Kai's other hand came up to frame her face. His amber eyes searched hers, asking a question without words. Sarah answered by closing the distance between them. Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, a meeting of two worlds, but it quickly deepened into something more passionate. Years of loneliness and longing pouring into that single moment. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Kai rested his forehead against hers. "This changes everything," he whispered. "I know," Sarah replied. Neither of them knew how right those words would prove to be, or how soon they would be tested. The confrontation. The tranquility shattered 3 days later when Sarah woke to find Kai's hand pressed firmly over her mouth. His eyes gleamed with urgent warning in the pre-dawn darkness. "They come," he whispered, removing his hand. "My tribe. Commander Rena leads them." Sarah's stomach dropped. "Who is she?" "Once she was promised to be my wife," Kai admitted, his voice tight. "Before I chose the solitary warrior path." "Before you." The sound of footsteps surrounded the sanctuary. Sarah reached for Kai's hand instinctively. "Kai of the fallen house of Soren," a commanding female voice called out in Valori. "Show yourself and face judgment for your betrayal." Kai stood, pulling Sarah up with him. They emerged from the sanctuary together. Hands still intertwined, Commander Rena stood in the clearing, her purple skin adorned with ceremonial armor that gleamed silver in the morning light. 5 warriors flanked her, weapons drawn, her amber eyes so similar to Kai's, fixed on their joined hands with unmistakable fury. "You dishonor our ways," Rena said, her voice dripping with contempt as she switched to the common tongue. "Living alone with this alien," touching her as if she were Valori. "The elders demand your return." "Sarah saved my life," Kai replied, his voice steady. "She has shown more honor than many born to our tribe." Rena's gaze shifted to Sarah, cold and assessing. "She is an outsider. She knows nothing of our sacred bonds, our traditions. You have contaminated yourself with her presence." Sarah felt anger flare. "I may not know all your customs, but I know that honor isn't determined by the color of someone's skin." "Silence," Rena snapped. "You have no voice here." She turned back to Kai. "Return with us, undergo the purification ritual. Leave this creature to find her own way." "And if I refuse?" Kai asked. Rena's expression hardened. "Then you are no longer Valori, and she is an intruder on our sacred lands. To be removed permanently." Kai stepped in front of Sarah protectively, his hand moving to his blade. "I will not let you harm her." "Then you choose exile," Rena stated. "And death." The warriors moved forward. "Wait," Sarah said, her mind racing through everything Kai had taught her about Valori culture. "There must be another way. What about the trial of worthiness?" Rena's eyes narrowed. "You know of our sacred trials. Kai told me that any who wish to bond with a Valori can undergo the trial." Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger. "That the trial judges the soul itself, not the origin. No outsider has ever attempted it," one of the warriors muttered. "Because no outsider has ever needed to," Sarah shot back. She looked at Kai, saw the fear and hope warring in his eyes. "I'll do it, whatever the trial requires. I'll prove myself." Rena studied Sarah for a long moment. "The trial has killed many Valori. You are human, weak. You will not survive." "Let me try," Sarah insisted. Kai gripped her hand tighter. "Sarah, no. It's too dangerous. It's the only way," she said softly, meeting his gaze. "Unless you want to spend your life running." Something passed between them. An understanding deeper than words. Rena smiled coldly. Very well. We leave for the sacred peaks at dawn. Prepare yourself, human. You will face the trial in 3 days. She turned to her warriors. Guard them. If they attempt to flee, kill the outsider. As the warriors established a perimeter, Kai pulled Sarah close, his arms wrapping around her. You don't have to do this, he whispered against her hair. Yes, I do, Sarah replied. Because I love you. The words hung in the air between them. Finally spoken, Kai pulled back just enough to look into her eyes. And I love you, he said, my star soul. They kissed, deep and desperate, knowing that in 3 days, everything would be decided. Either they would be united forever, or Sarah would die trying. The trial of unity. The sacred peaks rose like purple crystals against the crimson sky. Ancient and imposing, Sarah stood before the Temple of Souls, her heart pounding as massive doors opened to reveal the Council of Elders. 12 Valori sat in a semicircle, their skin the deep purple of age, their eyes holding centuries of wisdom. At the center, the High Priestess wore an elaborate headdress of woven starlight. Dr. Sarah Chen of Earth, the priestess announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. You seek to bond with Kai of House Soren. Do you understand the trial consists of 3 challenges, body, mind, and heart? I understand, Sarah replied, her voice steady despite her fear. Many have died attempting this, the priestess warned. Sarah glanced at Kai, who stood at the chamber's edge. His amber eyes met hers, full of love and terror. I'm ready, Sarah said. The first challenge began immediately. 3 Valori warriors entered the arena, each one a master of combat. Sarah had no formal training, only what Kai had taught her during their weeks together. The warriors attacked in coordinated waves. Sarah moved on instinct, using her smaller size as an advantage, dodging rather than blocking, striking at vulnerable points rather than attempting to overpower. She rolled under a sweeping blade, kicked out at a knee, used the environment to create separation. When she disarmed the final warrior using a move Kai had shown her, even Commander Rena couldn't hide her surprise. The body challenge is passed, the priestess announced. The second trial tested her mind. A complex puzzle of interlocking light patterns appeared before her, shifting and changing. She had to align them according to Valori mathematical principles. Sarah's scientific training kicked in. She saw patterns in the chaos, recognized the underlying structure. Her fingers moved quickly, adjusting the light configurations. The puzzle was designed to take hours. She solved it in 43 minutes. Murmurs rippled through the council. The mind challenge is passed, the priestess said, something almost like approval in her ancient eyes. The final trial required Sarah to enter a meditation chamber alone. The heart challenge cannot be witnessed, the priestess explained. You will face your deepest truth. If your soul truly recognizes Kai's, you will emerge. If not, she didn't finish the sentence. Sarah entered the dark chamber, the door sealed behind her. Suddenly, she was surrounded by visions, her family on Earth, her career, the life she'd left behind. Voices whispered that she could return, that rescue ships were coming, that she could have everything she'd lost. All she had to do was leave Kai. Then the visions shifted. She saw Kai, saw their future together, building a life on this alien world, facing challenges, growing old under crimson skies. It was uncertain, difficult. Nothing like the life she'd planned, but it was real. Sarah's choice crystallized with perfect clarity. She'd found something more valuable than everything she'd lost. She'd found home in another person. I choose him, she said aloud. I choose love. The chamber flooded with light. When the doors opened, Sarah emerged to find Kai rushing toward her. He caught her in his arms, holding her as if he'd never let go. The heart challenge is passed, the priestess announced. Standing now, Dr. Sarah Chen, you have proven your worth. Your soul speaks truth, she approached them, placing a hand on each of their heads. There is an ancient prophecy, she said, that speaks of souls who journey from beyond the stars to find their destiny among the Valori. We dismissed it as legend, perhaps we were wrong. Rena stepped forward. Her expression conflicted. Finally, she bowed her head. I concede, she said quietly. Your bond is true. The priestess raised her hands. Under the light of our twin moons and the eyes of our ancestors, I recognize the soul bond between Kai of House Soren and Sarah Chen of Earth. Let none challenge what the universe has joined. That night, under the twin moons of Xylon 7, Sarah and Kai stood together on the sacred peaks. The formal bonding ceremony had been beautiful, full of rituals Sarah was still learning to understand. No regrets, Kai asked, pulling her close. Sarah looked up at the alien stars so different from Earth's constellations. Then she looked at Kai, at the love shining in his amber eyes. Not one, she whispered. Their lips met in a kiss that tasted of promise and forever. Two souls from different worlds united by something stronger than distance or difference, love that crossed the stars themselves far above. A rescue beacon finally activated in the wreckage of Sarah's shuttle. But Sarah Chen, astrobiologist from Earth, was already home. She just hadn't known it would be purple-skinned and amber-eyed, waiting for her on a crimson world. Some journeys end exactly where they're meant to begin. The end.